Hello everyone, my name is MATTHIAS MASCHEK and I'm one of the founders of Lost in the Garden. We're a small team in Vienna of 4 people and we're right now working on our first title. It's called Lightfield. It's a flying racing game, complete degrees of freedom. So I know a lot about this weird mathematics he was just talking about. bad stuff going on. And we decided to do this on consoles, and this is our first project. We're all completely new to game development in a professional sense, so a lot of people asked us, how did you do this? How did you arrive that you as a new company do a game for consoles straight from scratch? And this talk should kind of answer this question in the next 15 minutes. To get to the team and a little bit of the history behind it, about 3 years ago, I wanted to try again to build a flying racing game. This wasn't the first time we tried it, or I tried it. I tried it already since I was 16. So always failed on technological problems, and I had no clue what to do actually. And now with Unity and all these tools, I wanted to build a prototype. And I asked Raimund and Simon, and I knew them from game jams actually, and I worked together with them on game jams before, and I asked them to come by on a weekend to my place, to my flat, and we worked 3 people of us on a small desk and built a prototype for a racing game. And we were surprised it actually worked. After this weekend we had a prototype of a flying racing game. Of course the controls were shit, but it was already kind of fun, and so we decided to put a little bit more time into it. And I think in the 3rd session that we had to work on it, Julia joined us as well. Julia is a working colleague of Raimund, and it took more and more time off our hands. So our spare time mostly went more and more into the game, and this was the point we saw for ourselves we couldn't do this anymore as just in our spare times and weekends, and we didn't want to do it anymore because, well, spare time is to have fun and not to work more than the rest. So we decided to either quit or do it really, and all of us took off 2 months of our work, and all of us were freelancers, so we could just don't take a job for 2 months and work 2 months full-time, all 4 of us, on the game to build the prototype, that we have something to show people. And with this prototype in hand, after this 2 months, we shoved it in everyone's face we could find. Just got feedback, and we actually got scholarships to go to the GDDG in America, and we did there the same. Everyone we met, we just showed the game, show the game, and tried to collect every little detail we got from everyone around there. And we got a lot of feedback, we got a lot of input, but the consensus was, there aren't games like yours right now, and you should do it. Of course, there were a lot of problems. It still wasn't really controllable. It was super hard to play, and we had to work on that, but the principle was right. So we decided we want to do it. We want to produce this as a game, and we had to find for ourselves parameters in which we could build the game, so that we don't have to spend all of our money and go bankrupt after finishing it. So we looked at what are the hardest problems for us in the game. We were kind of sure that we can do it on the technological side, because Simon and me are the programmers. We already programmed a lot before that. We weren't working on games, but we're doing multimedia installations and stuff like that. So we knew a little bit about programming already. That wasn't the big problem. Julia and Raimund were very skilled in 3D animation and 3D modeling. So we thought that should work, and that worked actually. The biggest problem for us was, how do we do PR? No one of us had any idea about PR. So we're looking for a way to reduce the PR problem. And the easiest way we found for us was go to a platform where visibility is a smaller issue. So on PC or mobile, you have a very huge visibility problem. There are millions of games coming out all the time. On consoles, this problem is smaller. There aren't that many games coming out. So this is the reason why we arrived at the point where we said, actually it would be best to go on consoles. It's harder to go there, but why not? Let's try. and we started to talk to Microsoft and Sony about this. There is within Sony there is the strategic content division to support indies, and at Xbox it's ID at Xbox, and we just chatted them up and tried to see what they are saying, and both of them react actually positively to us. They said, okay, if you found a company, if you get a company, we support you. And support means you get a dev kit, you get all the resources they have, and so on for free. That's what you get from them. And yeah, so we had this problem for ourselves solved. Now was the problem where we get the money. Because we estimated that this project will take about 2 years and will cost us about 300,000 euros. Where does this money come from? We didn't have this money, of course. So the two main options were either find some funding or get some investors on board or get a publisher that pays for that. And the best way for us, of course, would be funding, because if you have funding, you still have full creative freedom for yourself. And we tried to get funding from the Vienna Business Agency, which is actually a funding part of Vienna, and they have special funding for creative industries. And by chance, they actually had one funding which was exactly 300,000 euros, so it sounded right about right for us. And so we tried to get this fund, and while we were doing this, we were looking around how to get support in writing for it, because no one of us really ever wrote an application for something like that. So we found out there is actually support. If you are trying to get a fund, you get fund support. So you get a person that helps you write that. You get in total 8 hours, and split by 2, it's 4 hours and 4 hours. And this person looked over what we wrote with us together and gave us feedback how we could improve our funding proposal. And that helped us also crazy amounts. It was at the end, when we were finished with our application, we actually thought, ooh, I would found this. When we started writing it, we thought I wouldn't found this. So we had to learn a lot about how to write this correctly, how to get people to understand what we actually want, or why it is a good opportunity for Vienna to support us. And yeah, so it took us about 1 month to write the application. This is about the time, but we already had a lot of knowledge about what we want to write into it, because we're working at that point for 1.5 years on the game, on the side, and thinking about it, getting feedback. So we knew already the content. What we had to do mostly was finish up the project plan. That takes a lot of time, because you have to break it down to hours, man hours, working on which part of the project and all that stuff. That takes an amount of time, which is actually quite useful, because now this is our project plan we have to keep, and this is also helping us writing the little sticky notes to keep on time. And yeah, so we handed it in, and what a surprise, we actually really got the funding. So we are fully funded. We were fully funded, founded our company. We founded the company. Actually, we wanted to fund 1 year ago, but funding GmbH, which is a limited in Austria, takes about half a year for us. Took for us half a year, because there was so much discussion going on, what should be in our contract, and all that boring stuff no one really wants to talk about, which is one of the reasons why it stretches that long, because no one wants to talk about it, but you have to talk about it. What happens if one of us dies? Who gets the money? And what happens if someone wants to buy the company? All that stuff has to be in that contract, and you have to talk about it, and it's super boring, but you have to get through that. And so that took us half a year to be finished with that. And since then, we are working on it. We are licensed developers now for both consoles. We could theoretically release on both consoles, but we won't, because we are so small. We are 4 people. We can't possibly release on both consoles at the same time. That's impossible for us. So we have to decide for one of them. Right now, we're at the stage, we're very, very close to a PC master, meaning it's feature and content complete. And now we have to do the porting onto the console, which means not we have to get it running on the console, it's already running on both consoles, but we have to make all the bindings work, you know, all the trophies, all the magic that's going on a console, all that stuff we still have to do. This is the one of the last tasks then is QA and all the certification to get onto the platform. But we're still open to decide which platform we take. This is the point where we are right now. And yeah, so to finish this up, I'm gonna show you the trailer of the game. And actually, of course, you can try the game out there later on when we move out. Where is it? Where should I use it? There it is. Yes. There should be sound. It has a very trippy IDM music, I was told. I'm not that much into this music, so our artist decided that. And we're working actually together with an Austrian music artist, so we're licensing his music and he's doing the sound for us. So this was kind of something quite important for us. Okay, so we are at the Q&A. Are there questions?
Okay, questions, anyone? Oh.
Hi, you said you had a PC master. Will you release on PC?
Maybe very, very later on. So first we will release on both consoles and then maybe on PC. That the idea behind that is that hopefully after releasing on both consoles, the game has kind of a name so that people recognize it. And again, the visibility problem on PC is not that bad for us anymore as it would be now.
You said you it's a 6 degrees of freedom flight game, and you said you discovered some issues with the controls. What exactly have been the issues, and how did you fix them to make it easy to control?
Okay, flying is hard. So pilots are super trained, and if you try to really steer something that really flies correctly, that's really hard. And the first thing that we started with, and that was in the first prototype, was that the ship aligns automatically to the surfaces around you. So when you fly close to the wall, the ship slowly turns and you're aligned with the surface. And actually that gave us later on the idea how to change our mechanics, our core mechanics, that actually this is the core mechanic, that you can fly freely. When you get close to the surface, you press any button on the controller and you're being sucked to the surface, and you're getting stuck on the surface as long as you press the button, and you're getting faster doing that. So in the end, what it comes down to is that you're mostly flying around freely. No, actually the other way around. Mostly you're stuck to a wall, and as soon as you release the button, you're flying, you're getting slower, you have to look for the next surface that's useful for you, snap to the surface, use the surface, and so on and so forth. So that was actually what we came back to.
More questions?
What's the name of the artist?
Senjin. He's one half of Opus Debus.
Did you know that there are 3 consoles?
Yes, but the Wii U was not really, was too small for us, and yeah, we actually didn't know that much about how to develop for Nintendo, and we heard just horror stories, so we tried to stay away from that.
Any questions left?
Sure. How will you divide your income, if there is some income in future, among you 4?
equally. So since we're spending, all of us spend the same amount of money, the same amount of time, we divide it equally between us. That was actually quite simple for us.
Are there any questions on Twitch? Okay, so thanks again to our speaker. This was very interesting.